And the Colts burn me again. Welcome, everybody, to Uncut Nonsense. I am your host, Doc Klugman, and this is the show that, man, we just keep getting burned by that one team. Screw you, Indianapolis. But this week, we're going to be breaking down the week three predictions for the NFL season, upcoming week three coming up, starting with Thursday night football, moving on to the Sunday games, and then the single Monday night football. I don't know about you, but I like the double Monday night football game we had. The only thing that I did see that was circling around was that it was not a big, majority fan vote to have one game be super late. I think it was 10 o'clock Eastern time when the Chargers and the Raiders ended up starting. And I'll be honest, I went to bed. Like, I already had an idea that the Chargers were going to win the game, and I couldn't stay up. I really couldn't. I watched obviously the first game of it just because it was Monday Night Football, but I couldn't hang in there for the other one. I couldn't. But starting up with last week, it was an interesting week. It was good. I finished above 500 at a 10-6 record. A lot different than the first week when I went 14-2. But I'm happy. Total 28, 24-8, and I'm satisfied with that. I really am. Like, I really am surprised with myself. Obviously, the big winners for me was Green Bay winning the Thursday night football game. Dallas edged out my New York Giants in overtime. The Rams held up well. The Buffalo Bills held up well. Detroit just destroyed Chicago. Baltimore did their thing. New England got the big win over Miami in Miami. Arizona hung on against Carolina. Philly won the Super Bowl rematch game, and obviously the Chargers ended up taking care of business in Vegas. By the way, I've actually been to Las Vegas. Beautiful stadium. I really like Las Vegas Stadium. I know people call it the hockey puck because I've seen it from above. Actually, I've seen it from a helicopter, and it does look like a giant hockey puck. However, I don't mind the stadium. I really don't. It's the new black hole, literally. And then my tough loss is Pittsburgh. Thanks a lot, Rogers. You really one time I actually picked you to win. You really don't show up for me. Saints, I had a little more faith in them, but I'll give credit when credit's due with Mac Jones. They ended up winning that game. Jacksonville, it was a game that I thought could go either way. However, since he ends up getting the win, but at what cost? We'll go over that in a little bit. Man, freaking Colts. Again, freaking Colts. They pull it off against a good Denver D, and I'm just disappointed. Also disappointed. Speaking of disappointed, JJ McCarthy with Minnesota, they just dropped the ball at home against Atlanta on, Sunday Night Football, and then Houston ends up dropping their game late against Tampa Bay, and Houston, one of those teams, another 0-2 team, just like, Kansas City, that I think there is strides, but I don't know. It's getting a little scary early. But we'll jump into the Thursday night game that's happening tonight. I'm uploading this on Thursday, just before the night game. Again, I do apologize for the issues last week with the audio stuff again. Again, I apologize for that, but I ended up recording everything ahead of time. Had a problem uploading it. It ended up getting uploaded on Sunday before the 1 o'clock games. But unfortunately, that's how the cookie crumbles. This time we're on track though, and it's Miami versus the Bills. And I feel like this was a game that was supposed to be a lot better when they were creating the schedule at the start of the season, and then after 2 weeks, we look at it, we're like, oh crap, this is going to be a blowout. There's no surprise with this one. I'm gonna take the Bills on this one. Miami's a mess. They really are. Like against a New England team that I thought was gonna be a lot better this season, but I didn't think they were gonna be some juggernaut. They could not even handle the team when it came to the New England Patriots. That game was even in Miami. Miami's known to be a better team at home as of recent. And it just does not seem to be getting better for that team. As for Buffalo, they took care of business against the New York Jets, and that game was on the road no less, and they ended up getting a good divisional win for them. I mean, I don't have to go through stat lines for this. I don't have to go through any of that other nonsense. I think this one's pretty clear cut. Hate to say it, Miami, but Good thing that this game is in Buffalo because I don't see a lot of Miami Dolphin fans showing up. Give me Buffalo in this win. We'll blow through this one real fast. After that, you have the Colts, the 2-0 Colts, taking on the Tennessee Titans. And this one will be in Tennessee. And it's a 2-0 matchup versus an 0-2 matchup. It's a divisional game, so it should be good. Daniel Jones shows up again, this time at home last week against a very good Denver defense. And he ends up shining. He almost scores 30 points again after a nice 33-point, showing in week one against the Dolphins. And I think it does work to his advantage again, playing another weaker opponent in Tennessee. Cam Ward, obviously, with the reins for Tennessee, and they're still trying to make strides. I know it's a lot, tougher for Tennessee. Obviously, they played another tough game last week against the LA Rams. Rams, obviously, a big powerhouse in the NFC West. It was another tough game for them. They put up 19 points, which was, all right. Cam Ward got his first touching pass, his his first passing touchdown, excuse me, ended up being a good 9-yard touchdown grab for them. And overall, I think there are strides. I think things are getting better for Tennessee. I do see positive stuff for them. Cam Ward went 13 for 30. I'm sorry, 19 for 33, 175 yards. He's easing in there. And you know what? Like, although everybody wants results right away, I don't see the problem with this. I really don't. I think this is a lot of positive stuff that is very good that you don't see often in the NFL with these young quarterbacks. And I like what I'm seeing so far out of Tennessee. Obviously, there's a lot of bumps and bruises, but this is a lot of mistakes that are being made. He did not turn the ball over, which is fine. I do see positive strides. I just don't think that they have enough firepower right now through their roster. I'm going to give the win to the Colts again and have them go 3-0. And I went against them the first 2 weeks, watched Colts drop this one and just end up screwing me again. But I'll go with the Colts this one on the road. I think Tennessee's not ready just yet. I wouldn't be surprised if they do find a way to get this window at home. But right now, Indianapolis is too hot. Give me Indy in the win. After that, you had the Steelers taking on the Patriots in Foxborough. And this was a very disappointing showing for Aaron Rodgers in his game against last week. This is a very disappointing showing for Aaron Rodgers against the Seahawks. They lost that game 31-17. Rodgers really did not play good at all. 18 for 33 with 203 yards. He had two picks in that game. It really was not a good showing from him. And I think that's when we kind of have seen the old Aaron Rodgers that we had seen in the last several years, at the end of Green Bay, in his time with the Jets and stuff along those lines. And this is what got me kind of on the fence about the Steelers this year. I did not see the Steelers as being a big pick. Here's the thing with the Steelers is that you always have that opportunity where everybody always says, oh, Mike Tomlin, he's going to find a way to get it to 500. He's going to find a way to get the winning record. He's going to find a way to work some magic out of his hat. And every year I was like, you know what? Like people doubted him in some of these years based on the quarterbacks that they had, based on the defense that they had, based on, anything that's been on that roster ever since Big Ben. And I've always been like, oh, well, you know what? I think he'll still find a way. This is the year where I think that he can't get it done. And it's not just solely on Rodgers. Let me make that clear. It's not solely on Rodgers. However, I think that this is the year that he might not be able to get it done. He might not be able to get that winning record for the Steelers that he's done for the last 2 decades nearly. And they're going up against the Patriots. And I like what I saw last week with the Patriots overall, offensively, defensively. I know they gave up over 20 points defensively. I'm not going to solely put that on them. I know it's obviously a tough road. It's still a developing team. It's a very young team, and it's been that way for a while now. And they're still trying to get their footing when it comes to game by game, week by week. They're still trying to get their footing as they go through the motions. Excuse me. They won the last game against Miami, 33-27, and it ended up being 3 touchdowns for Drake. Sorry, 2 touchdowns in the air for Drake May, and I was impressed. I really was. They also got a kick return touchdown, which was also very good. Shows the special teams obviously flashing what they're doing, and it was the two first down. It was the 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. Really, the fast start by Drake May that really got things going for the Patriots. I like the fast start they have. I think there's an opportunity for them to go to another fast start again against the Steelers. They have really been struggling this year with the defensive wise for the Steelers, and it's something that was not seen last year. I'm gonna go with the Patriots in Foxborough with this one. I know it's a little bit of a long shot because I'm sure people probably think, oh, Aaron Rodgers will have something cooking. Patriots are not as good as you think they are. I'll take the Patriots in this one, getting the win. I think they go to 2-1. I think they drop the Steelers to 1-2. Give me the Patriots. After that, Jets versus Buccaneers in Tampa Bay. And this is when rant time comes because the Jets was abysmal on Sunday against the Bills. I thought the Bills were going to win. Let me make that clear. I picked the Bills to win. I thought the Bills were going to win. I thought they were going to win by at least, double digits. It was an abomination. It was an abomination from the players. It was an abomination from the coaching. It was horrible. And then to see the head coach for the Jets afterwards go up on the post game, excuse me, and during these questions, and they asked him, I believe, three straight questions during that press conference, and he just simply said on all straight ones, "Oh, we're looking at the tape. Oh, we're looking at." They asked him how they thought Justin Fields was going to play. He says, "Oh, we're looking at the tape. We thought Tyrod Taylor. How do you think he played? Oh, we're looking at the tape. Oh, well, what are you looking forward to with the Bucks next year? Bucks next week. Oh, we're looking at the tape. Stop it. Just stop it. You are a struggling team, and at the start of the season, you put forward, I'm going to be tough on these players. There's going to be less mistakes. There's going to be this. There's going to be that. And I don't care about that. That's a great pump up. That's a great thing that you should be doing. However, when you talk all that game and then you're already folding after week two and acting like a sorry sourpuss going, oh, we're going to just try to dodge the media questions or whatever after a genuine tough loss against a divisional opponent. It was a bad loss. It was. It was expected, though, because Buffalo is really hot right now. But to sit there and dodge these media questions just by the same answer, being like, oh, we're going to look at the tape, that's not right. I know the media are sharks. I understand that the media are bloodthirsty. However, it's just not right. And you should not be doing that as the answer after preaching to how much of a tough guy you are and how you're going to crack down on this. And now you're at 0-2 and now you don't have no answers. If this is week 17 and you've been bludgeoned the last several weeks and you got a losing record and you already know you're out of it, so you kind of just like, folding at the moment, that's one thing. I can live with that. However, you're going to sit there and you're going to say this stuff after week two, after 0-2. That's what you're going to say? Like, that's really, really not okay. I don't get it. Like, what makes you drop all this stuff immediately? And then they go up against the Bucks. Bucks got another impressive win. They're 2-0. Baker Mayfield shines again, even though maybe not seen on the stat line. I liked what I seen from them. I like already what the Buccaneers are doing. They were my favorite. They were my pick for the top of the NFC South, even though it is sort of a crappy division. I do really think that they do have good potential moving forward. They do obviously take advantage of this one, and I'm going to give them the win in this one. I'll go against the Bucks. I know it's a quick recap of the Bucks, but I mean, it's just again they took care of business. I really don't know what else to say when it comes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Is that they're one of those teams every year because they play in a bad NFC South. They end up shifting under the radar until playoff time, where then you look and you're like, oh yeah, they won the division. Oh yeah, they're actually not a bad team. Oh yeah, Baker Mayfield is actually doing good things. They ended up coming back. They end up getting a nice, go ahead rushing touchdown by White at the end of the Monday night game against the Houston Texans. And overall, they shut me up. It was a very good game by the Buccaneers. Again, it wasn't anything spectacular. It wasn't anything jaw dropping, but it was a nice little, hey, we're down right now. We got a limited amount of time. We're going to go. We're going to get this win. And it's a good group effort that comes in there, flies under the radar, and gets the victory. I'll give them the victory again. Give me the Bucks in this matchup. After that, you got the Raiders taking on the Washington Commanders. Washington on a really long weekend. They played last Thursday. They're going to play this coming Sunday, so they got about a week and a half off. Raiders are a little bit of a short week, obviously, being that they played Monday night, super late night against the Chargers. Raiders have just kind of plummeted. They had a good game first week against the Patriots, and they've kind of flattened out. Geno Smith threw 3 interceptions this last game, and there really is not a lot going for them. They're going to play on the road against Washington. I know Jaden Daniels is iffy. I think the status right now says that he might actually be out for the game. I don't know for sure. Don't quote me on it. But regardless of whether he plays or not, I just think that the Raiders just don't have enough right now. I anticipated they would be going to be fall in the division this year. They obviously, although they're playing a lot of bad teams, or at least worse fourth place teams, I still think it's a long road against them. But at the end of the day, you're still playing some of these good teams like Washington. I don't think it matters who Washington throws out there as quarterback. I still think they have enough additional good units to be able to hold off the Raiders. As for Washington, they had a rough game against the Packers, but they hung in there. I know the score says something different, but I really do think that they did hang in there and they did try their best. They were overmatched by a very, very good Green Bay Packers team. And I think if they do meet again, maybe in the playoffs or something like that, I do think that game could be a lot closer. I think Washington kind of got overwhelmed just by the amount of pressure and defense that the Packers were able to bring. And overall, I just think that Washington will have a much easier time playing against the Las Vegas Raiders. It's also going to be in Washington. Give me the Raiders in this one. I'm sorry, give me the Commanders in this one, because I do think that they'll end up finishing them off and getting a good win. After that, you have the LA Rams taking on the Philadelphia Eagles, and this is a rematch for last season's NFC division game. Uh, Obviously the Eagles got the bye, and the LA Rams ended up taking care of business in a huge defensive battle against the Minnesota Vikings, and they ended up, playing each other. Eagles didn't make it too close, and they ended up running away with it. And it's a rematch, and it's going to be again in Philadelphia. Eagles played very impressive against the Chiefs, and it just shows that I think that this is going to be another rematch that ends up falling in favor of the Eagles. I think the Eagles are one of the best teams right now in the entire NFL. And if they're able to get another solid win against the LA Rams, I think that just solidifies it a lot more. Jalen Hurts does not have to do a whole lot in order for them to get the win. He has a lot of good supporting cast around them. He has an overall very good team that's around them. And honestly, I'm very impressed when it comes to what I've seen so far from the Philadelphia Eagles. Overall, when it comes to the team in general, the offense for total yards is eighth, and they're eighth in the passing yards, even though, I'm sorry, for the defense wise. The defense for total yards, they're eighth right now. And for the passing yards, they're eighth. They're able to control the pass. They're able to do very good. And offensively, they keep it very clean on third down. They're third in the league at almost 50% third down completion ratio. And that's really, really good. And that's the thing that wins football games. You convert on third down, you keep your drives alive, and you end up, turning that into a score. Even if it's not a touchdown, even if it's only 3 points, that's the difference when it comes to going forward as you go into these other games. Obviously, the Rams have done very much good on offense. However, defense, they do have those loopholes. They've also played some opponents that are slightly weaker, I feel, in compared to the Eagles. I'll give the Eagles the win in this one because they're also at home on top of that. It's a very difficult place to play in Philadelphia. I'm going to give the Eagles the win on this one. The Rams, I think, will give them a little bit better of a fight than it was in the NFC divisional game last year, but I can't go against the Eagles in this one. It hurts as a Giants fan, but I can't go against the Eagles. Give me the Eagles. After that, it's the Carolina Panthers playing host for the first time this season in Carolina versus the Atlanta Falcons. And man, are the Panthers a mess. I just, I'm struggling to see good when it comes to the Panthers. And there's a bunch of 0-2 teams out there. There's the Browns, the Giants, the Jets, the Panthers, the Bears. Who am I missing? The Saints. Um, Dolphins, that could be it. Oh, and the Titans, I believe. I believe there's 10 teams that are 0-2. Panthers are one of the worst ones, just because their defense is just proven to be very unpredictable and not in a good way. And the fundamentals are not even right there when it comes to the Panthers. They lost their last game against the Arizona Cardinals 27-22. Don't be fooled. It was not that close. Bryce Young threw for 328 yards, the highest in his career. He had 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. Don't be fooled. He had to throw the ball because they were down so early in that game. The the Cardinals almost gave up that game to the Panthers. It was that bad to where they needed that much help, and it was a mess. It really was. Also, add a fumble on top of the interception that Bryce Young had thrown, and it was just a mess from start to finish. There was really nothing good that came out of it. Don't be fooled by the stat line. Don't be fooled by the actual score of the game. The Panthers just had another abomination of a game. And then you go to an Atlanta Falcon team who had a good bounce back after a week 1 loss to the Buccaneers. And they ended up taking care of business on the road against Minnesota. And now here they are again on the road where they play a Carolina team. And honestly, I like the Road Warriors in this one. I like the Road Falcons. I'm going to give the Falcons a win in this case. They had another solid win. They kept a very hot rookie that everybody was driving about because of JJ McCarthy. I'm speaking of in his, amazing fourth quarter comeback against Chicago, and they kept him at bay and they kept him from doing anything spectacular. And I give the Falcons a lot of credit in that case. I'm going to take the Falcons in this game. I think that overall they're just so much better than the Panthers, and I think they're going to ruin their home opener this year. Give me the Falcons. After that, Bengals and the Vikings, and good lord, if you bought tickets to this game expecting to see Joe Burrow and JJ McCarthy, well, then you're going to be very disappointed because your quarterback matchup will be Jake Browning and Carson Wentz. That's right. Joe Burrow out for 3 months with a turf toe or toe injury or whatever the hell you want to freaking call it. And then JJ McCarthy is out again with an ankle. JJ McCarthy has played 4 games in the NFL, 2 preseason and 2 regular season. And at this point, I had faith because I thought JJ McCarthy could be that, lone hero for the Minnesota Vikings. But I don't see it now because at the moment he is just too injury prone. He already has an injury. I can't remember specifically how long he's going to be out for. However, it's just not looking good. And I think it's already making a question mark of, is this the guy that we're going to trust moving forward if you're Minnesota? Like, do we have to go to the draft again? Do we have to look at outside help when it comes to veteran status? Do we have to, see what's cooking around, when it comes to backups around the NFL? Who's willing to give up their backup? You can go with Carson Wentz, but how good is Carson Wentz? How good is he going to be able to win you games if you want to win the games or not? Like, what's the status in Minnesota if JJ McCarthy, this guy who you drafted literally at the start of last year, who has now only played 4 games going into week 3 of his second year. He's only played 4 games, 2 of them preseason. What's the status? What's going on? As for Cincinnati, they escaped a win against Jacksonville last week, but at the cost was Joe Burrow. Out for 3 months. He's going to basically be out for most of the season. And the Super Bowl, bet line or whatever you want to call it in Vegas has now plummeted for the Cincinnati Bengals without Joe Burrow there. And rightfully so. Brownie is not a bad quarterback. I think he does give the opportunity to lead to get victories. However, I'm very concerned with what that means later on. The Bengals defense is a little bit shaky. This is the tough one because both teams with the loss of their starting quarterback and so many question marks on their status moving forward. I just don't know what the situation is with these teams. It's really hit or miss. It's really iffy. And with that being said, it's tough. I went with the Vikings last time and they embarrassed me. I went against the Bengals last time and they won. Right now, Browning is looking pretty good. I'll give it to the Bengals to get the victory. They're gonna go 3-0 with this one. I think, obviously, though, if they weren't playing a weaker opponent in the Vikings, I would pick somebody else above it. But I'll go with the Bengals in this case. This one will probably bite me in the ass, but I don't care. After that, you have the Texans taking on the Jaguars, and Texans 0-2 starting off this season. Very disappointing. Obviously, they played some teams that were a little bit more on the better side, you can say, I suppose. Jaguars, they got a good week one win. They couldn't finish job against Cincinnati, so that obviously was a little bit more of a disappointment for them. I think Jaguars had the opportunity to be a 2-0 team, and that's really good. That's really good for them. It's a good turnaround to how they were last year. And the Houston, I went against them week one. I was correct. I went with them week two. I was incorrect. And Houston just does not seem to have the same firepower as they did last year. Obviously, they were lacking a little bit in the receiving core, which was to be expected with the lack of firepower. Stroud was 207 yards, one touchdown, 13 for 24. He got good chunk yards. That's what he did. And again, Nick Chubb did not really do much. Only 43 yards on the ground. You need more than that. You need something else to be able to help out CJ Stroud in this situation. Only 266 yards of offense for, the Texans. That's not going to get it done against teams like the Rams, against teams like the Buccaneers. It's not going to get it done. The only question is, in regards to week three status, will it get it done against the Jaguars? Jaguars again did not look too shabby in their last game. They played, the Bengals. They ended up losing, 31 to 31 to 27. Excuse me. And they still did not look too shabby. Trevor Lawrence, 24 for 40, 42. He threw the ball a lot. He got 3 touchdowns, but again, the 2 interceptions. It's a problem that I've seen in those games that really seem to matter most for them, and the fact that the Cincinnati defense was able to hang on strong. The offense woke up and they were able to take advantage in the second half and be able to limit Jacksonville enough to be able to get themselves the win. That really turns out to be, the big difference maker. They also played a very clean game, only 3 penalties for Cincinnati, in that game. Texans, didn't get any help when it came to the refs. Again, not saying that obviously the refs helped them, but they didn't get any help with any penalties because their opponent, excuse me, played very penalty free football. And that's the thing that helps you win games in these situations is when you limit your mistakes and you don't give any of your opponents any free yards. So this is a tough matchup, and Jacksonville's at home. I'll give the win to Jacksonville. I think right now the Texans are on a downward spiral, and I think that it follows into week three. When it rains, it pours. That's the old expression when it comes to, if things are trending in a bad direction and it's already raining, that it's going to pour because it's just going to downpour on you. I'll give it to Jacksonville in this case. I think they have the opportunity to make a good swing at it. I need to see more from the Texans right now. I need to see that statement game. And until I see that statement game, I can't take them anymore in these head-to-head matchups. They need to win this game and prove me wrong for me to be able to jump back to them and be like, yeah, I think they're actually going to have a solid victory in this one. Give me Jacksonville at home in this one. Next matchup we have is going to be in Cleveland. It's going to be the Green Bay Packers taking on the Cleveland Browns. I'm going to just finish this real quick so, we're not wasting time. I don't want to waste anybody's time here. Browns are a mess. This is a joke of a matchup. Give me Green Bay in this one. Browns in the last game, they ended up getting demolished by Baltimore 41-17. I mean, in this case, you can actually look at the stat line and you can actually see, wow, this was actually kind of off the rails to begin with. Don't be fooled though by the total yards of 322 yards for the Browns over the 242 from the Baltimore Ravens. It was not even like that sort of situation. One fumble, one interception, of course, by Flacco. It was just an abomination. They turned the ball over an additional two more times on fourth down, failures. And this is just a mess of an organization. Meanwhile, you have Green Bay, the complete opposite, who's thriving. They had another good performance on Thursday Night Football. They have a little bit more rest. This is just too easy for me. I don't give a shit that the Browns are at home. Give me Green Bay in this one. Next. After that, you have the Broncos taking on the LA Chargers. And I love this AFC West matchup. And the Broncos coming off of the bad loss against Indy. Well, I mean, of course, it's Indianapolis. And all of a sudden, they're good. And all of a sudden, Daniel Jones wants to actually show that he's a quarterback this year. And they end up, having the bad loss on the road. And now they're on the road again against the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers get a solid win on Monday Night Football late night against the Raiders. And Justin Herbert again had a somewhat of a solid game, 19 for 27 with 242 yards and two touchdowns, passer rating of 122.8. And again, it was just another solid performance. Now, granted, they played the Raiders, that obviously helps. And then you have the Colts turn out to be a decent team, and the Broncos got to face them on the road. And overall, though, like I'm not entirely disappointed with Bo Nix. He had over 200 yards. He had three touchdowns. He had another good game as well for a quarterback. I love his development. I love what he's doing. And this was going to be one of those both of these appearances. This won't be played in LA. The other matchup between these two teams is going to be played in Denver. I want to split the series between these two teams. And judging by what I see, I think it's going to be another close matchup. I think Denver's defense is going to wake up a little bit more. And I want to take Denver in this case, even though they are the road team. It's going to be tough, though. It's going to be really tough. I would not be surprised if the Chargers end up doing this. And overall, I think the Chargers defense kind of got a day off last week against, a very bad Las Vegas team. Obviously, they had three interceptions, which was wonderful. Also you can mark those on Geno Smith as well. I want to go with the Chargers. You know what? I'll go with the Chargers in this one. Just because they're at home, I'll give them that home field advantage edge. If things stay the same the way it is going into the matchup against Denver, then I'll pick Denver. However, I do like what I see with the Chargers. I'll let the Chargers go 3-0 in this case. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I'll let the Chargers go 3-0 here. I think Denver does have a little bit less in the tank than the Chargers do overall. I think the Chargers are just the better team overall. I'll take the Chargers. After that, Saints go on the road for the first time. Saints are actually the one of two 0-2 teams that have dropped both of their first two home games. The other one's the Jets. And they go on the road for the first time. They'll take on the Seattle Seahawks. I went against the Seahawks last week, and they ended up doing very well against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I went for the Saints to take care of business against San Fran, and that didn't work out too well. They just proved how bad they were. And I really think it's just the fact that the Saints really just don't have any identifying players. They don't have anybody that's standing out. They don't have anybody that's making enough noise besides Kamara in the backfield for the offense. And you have the Seahawks, who's looking to turn things around. They have their second home game coming up against them. I think this is when they get their first home victory in Seattle, just because I think the Seahawks are making a lot more positive strides. Obviously, there's a lot more asterisks next behind it because I don't think that the Seahawks as good as what they're showing. However, I'm still able to give them the win in this case just because I do believe that they are still able to do it. Although I don't have a lot of faith in Sam Darnold, he still does put up impressive numbers enough to get by. He went 22 for 33 last week with 295 yards, 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, though. Got to put that one right there, 2 interceptions. They also played a very clean ball, only 2 penalties for 10 yards last game. I was just overall very impressed. They also did very well with the rushing game for Seattle. Kenneth Walker had over 100 yards for 13 carries. He averaged 8.1 per carry. That's incredible. If you have that rushing attack and you're able to utilize it, I don't care who you're playing. That is just overall the performance that you are looking for in the ground attack. Obviously, the ground gives you less yards unless you have some incredible running back and a bad, offensive line or a bad quarterback. However, to be able to do that, that just adds so much of a bonus and just shows that you are a dual threat team. Give me Seattle in this case, and I'll take Seattle in the win at home with this one. Nothing more to be said. I think obviously it helps the fact that you're playing the Saints. After that, the Cardinals taking on the San Francisco 49ers. I love this NFC West matchup. I think the Cardinals are flying high, pretty high actually, at 2-0 now going into this game. I think this might be one of the harder opponents that they're now going to play. They obviously played the Saints in week 1, and then they ended up playing at home for the first time against Carolina in week 2. So here's their tougher opponents in the San Francisco 49ers. I did not pick the San Francisco 49ers last week because of the injuries that they did have. I think it was going to play a little bit more of a factor. Turns out it didn't play as much enough for them to lose that game. They ended up winning that game, and I was pretty impressed with that. Matt Jones starts again for them. He had a good performance last week, 3 touchdowns for 279 yards. And he'll face off against Kyler Murray, and he's not having too bad of a season himself right now, passing wise. Obviously, you got Christian McCaffrey in there for the 49ers. He's obviously doing very well for himself, too. And just, I think the 49ers are on a stride right now. The, 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 the Arizona Cardinals are not as great of a team as people see it. Obviously, they play 2 very bad opponents. And this is a tough one because I think these are 2 teams that are a little bit more of a smoke and mirror effect. These are 2-0 teams that really could easily be 1-1, or who knows, if all things went wrong, they could be all both 0-2. They all played, somewhat close games. Arizona almost gave that game to Carolina last week, and in the fourth quarter, and San Francisco almost dropped the first one against Seattle. Like, they're both very smoke and mirror 2-0 teams, and this is a very tough one for me just because I don't know what's to come with with this matchup. I'll give the edge to San Fran at home, and they're going to be the team that goes 3-0. I would not rule out the Cardinals, but right now Mac Jones was very impressive last week, and I don't want to go against them right now. Give me San Fran. Following that, you have Chicago Bears playing at home against the Dallas Cowboys, and it's an abysmal time in Chicago. A lot of hope is being dropped, and things are not looking very good. Meanwhile, the Cowboys escape a very, very dicey win over the New York Giants, which we'll get into a little bit later on, and they basically was helped out with the Giants defense that was supposed to be so good, just did not show up to the ball game, and they won a 41-37 in overtime. But that defense is horrendous for Dallas. It really is. You get the Giants. I don't care if they have a veteran quarterback now in Russell Wilson. You're going to allow the Giants to do that to you, 37 points on an offense who hasn't done anything in 3 years. Like, that's just horrendous. And I think they catch a break with the fact that they're playing Caleb Williams and a Chicago Bears team that has not found any footing so far. The defense really has shown that they can't stop anything, including a nosebleed, especially in the second half, against Detroit that just obliterated them 52-31. And it was just a nightmare of a game. 52-21, excuse me. I think I said 31. But give me Dallas in this game just because I think they'll get the road win. I think the Bears, they need to prove something that the Bears fall in the same category to me as the Carolina Panthers because I just think that they need to prove anything in order for anybody to actually be like, yeah, you know what, I'll go with them in this one. And being that they're at home, that doesn't do it for me. Give me Dallas in this case. I think Dallas goes to 2-1, and then they try to get themselves together for week 4. After that, you have the Sunday night football game. My New York Giants at home for the first time at home, taking on the Kansas City Chiefs, the battle of the 0-2 teams. Giants, you're not surprised they're 0-2. Chiefs, you're a little surprised they're 0-2. And the Chiefs have played some good opponents. They have. They played the Chargers in Week 1 against in Brazil, and then they played the Eagles last week, and they found themselves 0-2 in that one. The offense is still really, really bad in this case compared to the standards that it should be in Kansas City. And the Giants, the offense woke up. Russell Wilson passed for over 400 yards, and that made them one of the top 10, I believe, passing offenses now in the league going into Week 3. If Russell Wilson has another game like this, I really do think that they Giants have a fighting chance. That defense needs to wake up though. Penalties as well was the problem. Against the Cowboys last game, the penalties absolutely destroyed the Dallas Cowboys. Destroyed the New York Giants, excuse me. They had 14 penalties for 160 yards. Horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. And that is the reason why overall the Giants lost that game. They were so undisciplined, and they ended up having that completely hurt them to be where that game should have not been in overtime. The offense should have ended up suffocating Dallas to give them that win. Was not the case. Typical New York Giants. As for Kansas City, making strides. They're in the right direction, but it's not there yet. And overall, I think this is going to be a lot more of a tougher game for for the Kansas City Chiefs, more so than I think what people think it's going to be. I really do. Like, I think this is actually going to be a pretty decent Sunday night matchup. Patrick Mahomes was not great last week. He only threw for 187 yards, 16 for 29. He had an interception as well. And I think it's just very disappointing. They had no run attack in that one for the most part. I knew they rushed for 121 yards, but their lead rusher was Kareem Hunt with only 31 yards. That's not getting it done. It really isn't. Mahomes had to carry the whole thing at 66 yards rushing for 7 attempts. If you got a result of Patrick Mahomes running the ball like that consistently, that's not a stable offense that's going to get the job done every single week. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm a Giants fan, so I'm biased. I'm going to take the Giants at home. Give me the Giants at home. I think they completely upset the Chiefs in this case. It's going to be an upset. The Giants are going to win, or the Chiefs are just going to absolutely blow them out. So, in this case, let me be a happy Giants fan potentially with this pick. Give me the Giants at home, and we'll see. Finally, Monday Night Football game. You got the Detroit Lions taking on the Baltimore Ravens. This is going to be a good game. The Lions got their mojo back. They absolutely demolished the Chicago Bears 52 to 30 to 50 say 31. 52 to 21 last game. It was not even close. They were going for it on fourth down, knocking on the door up by 20 plus points. It was not even close. Lions were just having fun with it. Baltimore Ravens, they end up getting back on their mojo playing a very bad Cleveland Browns team. And that really was sort of the thing that has picked up these two teams is that they end up playing some bad divisional opponents that end up giving them a good boost. I like what Goff did for the Detroit Lions. I think he's going to continue that trend. Here's the situation with Baltimore is they don't do well against great opponents. That's been the Achilles heel with John Harbaugh and that entire team in Baltimore is that when it comes down to some very impressive opponents, whether they're home or away, they end up struggling significantly. Big Monday Night Football matchup. One team is going to be the 2-1, and I think it's going to be the Lions. I think the Lions will get the job done on the road. I'll give them the win. I think now that they have that juice back in them after being deflated against Green Bay Packers in week one. I think that they'll continue now with their strong, dominant support, performance. I'm not saying that they drop 50 again on Baltimore, but I see it more than likely that they'll have a better hold on things than Baltimore will, even though the game is playing in Baltimore. Give me the Lions in the victory on this one. And again, it's one of those matchups where it can be flip flopped either way, but I got to go with Detroit on this one. After that, so we have the end. And that is the end of week three predictions. And we'll see how it all shapes out. Again, if you guys like what you guys hear, please feel free to subscribe and also drop some comments down below. Let me know what you guys think about my picks and what you guys think that your picks will be in this upcoming season. Also, tell me who your favorite NFL team is and who you root for. Even though it's a heartbreak, remember I'm a Giants fan, so I definitely can share the heartbreak with you if you're, God forbid, a Jets fan or a Browns fan or a Panthers fan or even a Saints fan. So let me know what you guys think down below. Again, next week we'll be going through the week four predictions and we'll be trucking along from there in this NFL season. Again, my name is Doc Klugman and I hope you guys have a good night.